What's up guys, it's Gone, and today we'll be looking at 8 more players who are at the top of the draft board in the 2025 MLB Draft. This is a part 2 of my series covering some of the top prospects in the 2025 MLB Draft, so if you haven't seen the first video, head on over to that one after this video for even more draft prospect coverage. Rebuilds suck, and unfortunately many teams have to embark on them as a natural progression of baseball. However, the best way to limit the lengthiness of a rebuild, and potentially block a rebuild entirely, is through smart drafting. And while many core players are drafted outside of the first round, representing the backbone of a team and the overall strength of any draft class, players drafted in the first round have a much better chance at reaching the MLB level and becoming stars once there. Think of Bryce Harper, Paul Skeens, Adley Rutschman, and many more star players who are drafted in the first round. There are future stars in this draft's first round too, but the lengthiness of prospect call-ups mean that they receive criminally little attention leading up to the draft process. This video will hope to cover the next future stars, lining out what has led them to this point, their strengths and weaknesses, and an MLB comparison. But before we get on to this video, could you guys please hit the like and subscribe button? Currently, only 3% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if y'all do, not only would it help me grow my channel, but it also would encourage me to create more videos like this one for you guys. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. Despite already covering 8 players who I think have a feasible shot at going number 1 overall, I still think that there are a couple more players who could achieve that very same feat if a couple of things break their way. One of whom is second baseman Ava Arquette out of Oregon State, making it the first time in which a player was selected number 1 overall out of the same college in back-to-back years since San Diego State three-peated in the 1970s. Arquette has a pretty decent chance of going number 1 overall. He was ranked pretty highly coming out of Hawaii before going to the University of Washington, where after an injury-plagued freshman year, Arquette posted a breakout sophomore season, slashing .325, .384, .574, with 12 home runs, 17 walks, and 36 RBIs. Arquette then transferred over to Oregon State after this breakout campaign, where he looks to fill in the role at second base after Travis Bazzana got drafted. And as a player, Arquette does draw a lot of comparisons to Bazzana. They are both athletic enough to be a plus runner and good defensive second baseman, and offensively from the right-handed side, there really aren't any huge holes of note in their games. And while Arquette doesn't have that unexplainable power off the bat that Bazzana has, Arquette is also 6'4", much taller than Bazzana, and possesses the sheer raw power to hit over 20 home runs in a season consistently. I think Arquette is going under the radar, if you will. He only just had his breakout season, so many people may be wary of his given production in the future. However, if he's able to post a similar season for the powerhouse in Oregon State, then there could be serious considerations for him to go number 1 overall. He reminds me a little bit of Zach Geloff, a larger-bodied second baseman with a well-rounded arsenal. And sticking with the collegiate bats, Brendan Summerhill has all the makings of a quality top 10 pick in the 2025 MLB Draft. Coming out of Whitney Young High School in Chicago, Summerhill hit .451 with a .667 on-base percentage in his senior year to become the number 4 prospect in Illinois before going to the University of Arizona. After showing glimpses as a part-time player in his freshman year, Summerhill broke out in his sophomore year to earn all Pac-12 honors. He started almost every game in center field, leading the team in on-base percentage and drawing nearly as many walks as strikeouts. He only hit 8 home runs, but scouts project him to fill more into a 6'3" frame to become a better power hitter in the future, hopefully one who can hit 20 home runs. Offensively, he has a decent enough eye at the plate, but does have the tendency to swing and miss when searching for that set power, so there will be some discussion surrounding that aspect of his game during the 2025 collegiate season. Nonetheless, Summerhill is a pure hitter, and he has the sheer athleticism and arm strength to be a plus defender at all 3 outfield spots. From the left-handed side, he reminds me a bit of Brandon Nimmo, if he can tap into his power just a little bit more. And among collegiate outfielders, Summerhill will have to compete alongside Jace Lavalette, Cam Cannarella, and Max Belyeu for the top spot. Belyeu, out of the University of Texas, is another one of these pure left-handed outfielders who had a monster season in 2024, and looks to continue that trend for a strong 2025 season to put himself at the top of draft boards for the 2025 MLB Draft. After sparingly playing during the 2023 season as a freshman where he only started in 4 games, Belyeu played in 59 games in 2024, hitting .329, .423, .667 with 18 home runs, 15 doubles, and 53 RBIs. Stats-wise, Belyeu posted a better season than Summerhill in 2024, and among their raw power outlets, Belyeu likely has Summerhill bested as well. However, while a decent runner, Belyeu doesn't have the top-end speed and athleticism to be a center fielder at the next level, nor a menace on the base paths. Additionally, Belyeu does have some holes in his game as a hitter that need to be fixed, like his ability to recognize and lay off breaking pitches despite his quick left-handed swing made for power. Nonetheless, Belyeu has an intriguing profile as a potential all-star in right field, capable of hitting 30-plus home runs in any given season, while also having solid plus defense there. He does remind me of a bigger Mike Yastrzemski with more power as well. And switching over to the high school level, Kayson Cunningham finds himself near the top of many draft boards for high schoolers as the best high school recruit coming out of the state of Texas. Committed to the University of Texas, there will likely need to be a good amount of money dedicated to a signing bonus to pry him away from his commitment. But for any team that does acquire his services, they could be getting a quality impact MLB player. From the shortstop position, he's only 5'9" or 5'10" depending on the source, which does limit his long-term power outlet for a ceiling of around 15 to 20 home runs. But his tools outside of that more than make up for a perceived lack of power. With a career batting average of .445 and a 6.53 60-yard dash at the high school level, Cunningham has torn apart the high school ranks with exceptional bat control and great speed. Right now, Cunningham is one of the best hit tools not just among high schoolers, but among all draft-eligible players in 2025. He's got a compact approach that utilizes the entire field, with no visible holes in his left-handed swing. Defensively at shortstop, his athleticism gives him enough range to play shortstop at the highest level, and his arm is also good enough for there as well, although he could play second base in spurts. Nonetheless, despite his lack of a true power output, his other tools are well beyond his age and provide hope for an exceptional player later on as he continues to mature. He reminds me a decent amount of Luis Arias or Jeff McNeil with his incredible bat control. And staying with the high school shortstops, Eli Willits from Fort Cobb Broxton is an intriguing player after reclassifying from the 2026 class to become one of the youngest players draft eligible in 2025 at 17 years 7 months as of July 2025. A switch hitter better from the left-handed side, Willits has an uncanny hit tool for his age, very similar to Cunningham in a sense of his understanding of the strike zone and his compact swing. At 6'1" and 165 pounds, right now Willits does possess a below-average power tool, but as a larger-bodied infielder, he could grow into someone who could hit 20 to 25 home runs in the future. Defensively, he's got great athleticism, and scouts constantly compare him to Anthony Volpe in this draft process. They project that as he matures, his fielding will get even better, and he will likely stick in the shortstop position in the MLB, although some scouts believe he's got the speed to play in center field as well. In that respect, Willits does remind me of a switch-hitting Jackson Merrill, a worthy comparison for an extraordinary young player. And as for my final three prospects, I do want to cover my catcher selection of this year's draft, as well as two intriguing high school two-way players that are interesting to see if they mature as either a hitter, pitcher, or both going into the draft. Starting with the catcher selection, I like C-Ike Irish slightly more over Luke Stevenson coming out of North Carolina. And while Luke Stevenson trumps Irish in terms of sheer raw power, capable of hitting around 25 home runs in any given season, C-Ike Irish, a 6'2" catcher out of Auburn, has 20 homer potential of his own, with a compact left-handed swing that has good strike zone control, but does sometimes go outside of the zone. Irish doesn't struggle against any particular pitch with a mature approach, and is surprisingly good against lefties as a left-handed power hitter. At catcher, he's also surprisingly athletic as well, capable of stealing a couple of bases. This athleticism also helps him defensively, as he'll be able to be an average to above average receiver in the future. Defensively, he's also got a great arm at catcher as well, but needs to clean up on his throwing mechanics to truly become an elite catcher defensively at throwing out base runners. He reminds me a bit of Matt Dice, except slightly more in the power department for him. And now as for the intriguing two-way players, Kruz Schoolcraft really caught my eye. I was a huge fan of Noah Schultz back in the 2022 draft process, and I think that Schoolcraft draws a lot of comparisons to Schultz. They're both really tall, lanky left-handers, as Schoolcraft in this case is 6'8" and 229 pounds, and he's also starting from the pitching side, which I think will be the side he ultimately commands at the highest level. Schoolcraft utilizes his size to generate enormous leverage, with a fastball that ranges all the way up to 97 miles per hour. As for his off-speed pitches, he has a horizontal frisbee-like slider in the low 80s that is lethal against lefties, and a surprisingly good feel for a biting changeup, which also sits in the low 80s as well. I believe as Schoolcraft becomes more acclimated to the mechanics of using his long limbs as a pitcher, he could consistently hit in the high 90s while keeping the feel for his two off-speed pitches against both righties and lefties. As a hitter, he's also got great power, and his size allows him to generate enormous lift on the ball. However, it's a double-edged sword in this case, as his huge strike zone could also prove faulty for his hit tool in the future. Defensively at first base, he's graded out to be above average, although he could play right field in a pinch with his arm strength. Nonetheless, I do believe that he'll be a pitcher long term, and a very good one in fact. And as for the last player on this list, Billy Carlson, I believe, has a better shot of sticking long term as a hitter rather than a pitcher. As a shortstop out of Corona, California, Carlson has impressive bat speed from the right-handed side of the plate. While this at the moment hasn't translated to home run power, the exit velocities seen are impressive for a 17-year-old. On the bases, he's an above-average runner, although more of an athletic runner than a pure speed guy. However, his calling card has to be his defensive abilities at shortstop. He has great range thanks to his athleticism and amazing instincts to boot. Additionally, his arm is outstanding for a middle infielder, and if he can continue to mature in the power department, would likely be a great third base prospect there as well. In this regard, from the shortstop position, he reminds me of Mason Wynn. On the mound, Carlson has a mid-90s fastball and plus curveball and average changeup. However, despite an intriguing arsenal for a pitcher capable of being taken in the middle rounds, I think that arm would be better serviced at the shortstop position, where he should be a top 15 pick. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below new video ideas. Also comment if you'd like a part 3 to this video. I may make a part 3 depending on how this video does. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. God bless.